All right, welcome into PrizePicks on 5 here on the 5 Reasons YouTube channel. I'm Ethan Skolnick. Above me is David Eversole. You can follow him at David W. Eversole. Below, David Friedman. You can follow him at Talk About Sports. Look at that. This is like the Brady Bunch, isn't it? Look how cute this is.
That's what I go for.
That's what it is. All right, we got the conference championship games today. I hope you listened to my Heat props yesterday because, well, I knew the game was going to go triple overtime, so everything went over. Use the code 5, F-I-V-E, the code 5. Whatever you put down $100, they will match it up to $100. That's pretty damn cool, right? You don't have to play it all at once. You can just play $20 if you wanted first. Play the flex play, the power play, and, of course, the championship games is a great place to start. But there's some NBA games today, too. If you want to pair it with some NBA or some NHL props, you can do that as well. All right, let's get to it. We're going to start here. I will start with the AFC Championship game. It's the first game today. The Chiefs and the Bengals. You've got one team that's a heavy chalk favorite. You got another that's an upstart. I think the Chiefs are actually favored by 7 in this game. But there's a lot on the board that we like. Eversole, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a track meet today with both teams putting up a lot of yards and probably a lot of points as well. And given Cincinnati's offensive line struggles, I think they're going to want to get the ball out pretty quick at times. So Uzomah for the tight end for the Bengals have been really consistent the last few weeks. So I'm going to take him over 32.5 receiving yards. I think that's a pretty good play today.
A lot of these tight end plays have played of late. Freeman, what do you like?
Yeah, so going out that real quick, like the thing with that is Tyrann Mathieu playing, and I don't really know, like the Jamar Chase thing, right? Like I'm scared to take any of those receivers because of him. I did go Mixon over receiving yards for the Bengals. He went from 25, we were talking about 25.5 to like 27.5 now.
Mm-hmm.
He's super involved in the passing game, and he'll get that easily, in my opinion. And on the other side, I went Jarrett McKinnon.
Mm-hmm.
He's been killing it in the receiving game, but he went from 35.5 and it just dropped down to 25.5 in like the last hour. So I'm all over that.
I mean, that's low. I'm with you on that as well. I'm gonna go with Mixon over also, but actually on receptions, like you mentioned. I do think it's going to be a track meet. I think there's going to be obviously a lot of opportunities to score, and I also think, like I said, he's very involved in the passing game. And so I think Burrow is going to look for him a lot as sort of a relief option. You mentioned the offensive line is awful, and the Chiefs can apply some pressure. So I'm going to go with Mixon over the 4 receptions. I kind of figure worst case I'm going to push. I think he gets at least 4, maybe 5. So that number at 4. All right, let's the other one I like here, though, I like Mahomes over. To me, that number – he's going to throw for 300 today. I would be stunned if he doesn't. I mean, he's got an opportunity to get back to the Super Bowl. I know he's been under the number, as you see that. He's 283.5. But I just think today, to beat this team, again, since he's going to score some, to beat this team, they're going to have to throw the ball. And obviously you have Hill and you have Kelsey, so I'm going to go over. Anything else that jumps out to you guys before we pivot to the NFC?
Yeah, with the Mahomes thing real quick. So, like, I did take him, but I took him over on completions because I agree with you. I think he's going to throw a lot. I just think that's kind of an easy one for those. Look, they're not going to let him go big play crazy, but I think he can get those completions short all day long to Tyreek and Kelsey.
25 is a lot. 25.5 is a lot, though, David. That's
not for him.
Yeah, that's true. I guess 4 out of the last 5, as you can see there. By the way, what David Eversole is pulling up here, you can see what a guy did in his last 5 games. So that gives you an indication. Not always an indicator of what happens in the future, but it's a trend. It's a trend that you can read. Again, use the code 5. All right, let's pivot over to the NFC right now. You've got, again, the Rams are a favorite at home. You've kind of a weird situation, and then you have 2 teams that were not high seeds going into the postseason. The Rams got Stafford for exactly this reason, to kind of get them over the hump, being better than Goff was. San Francisco is sort of winning in spite of Garoppolo lately. I think you could argue that, and the next Dolphins coach may be leading them today. We will see. I think some folks are rooting for that. But let's go to you first, Freeman, on this one. What is your play? What is your prize pick?
Yeah, so look, these are 2 teams that obviously division rivals. They played twice already this year. San Francisco has won 6 times in a row. Like, you kind of have a feel for what might happen. And Stafford, yeah, but like that defense can get to him, right? So on that end of it, I still think Cooper Kupp gets over 100. It's 100.5, I think. I'm still on that because he's, regardless, like that's his valve, right? And the other guy I took Elijah Mitchell over on rushing. I think it's 66.5. They ran the ball earlier in the season pretty well against them, and Mitchell's been killing it. So
65.5 there.
All right, Eversole, what are you thinking?
Well, I'm going to go to the Rams side a little bit. I was talking about Higbee in the last show we did to preview the Heat a couple nights ago. I really like Higbee over 9 fantasy points. He had a great game when these two met in the last matchup, and I think he's just going to see a lot of work over the middle of the field. And he had, I believe, 23 fantasy points against the 49ers in their last meeting. And I've got another under for this game, actually. I think the 49ers run defense is going to be pretty tough today. So looking at Cam Akers, 55.5 rushing yards. I mean, he had 3 yards when these teams played on January 9th. And if you look at the trend, I mean, his average over his last 5 is only 40 yards. I just don't think he gets the amount of touches and yards, big plays to go over that. So for my favorite under today is Akers under 55.5 rushing.
Yeah, I like that one also. Here's the thing. San Francisco's going to win the game. They got to get the ball in the hands of their one big play guy, and that's Samuel. And I'm going to go over on him with receptions. I know that there's a number of different ways that they can get him the ball, not just throwing the ball to him. Obviously, they'll get him out of the backfield and all that. But again, this is the type of situation you go into a game like this. You want to win or die with your best guy, and I think they'll reach out to him quite a bit. They'll throw to him quite a bit. So I'm going to go with Deebo Samuel over 4 receptions. I know San Francisco doesn't throw the ball a ton, but I feel like their best chance today is for Samuel to pop a couple here in one way or the other. So I'm going to go with him over 4 receptions. Freeman, I'll let you close here.
Like the Deebo thing to me is kind of the same thing as the Tyrann Mathieu, right? They got Jalen Ramsey on the other side. I think it's just going based off a matchup. So I like Ayuk. I think it's over 4 catches. I just think that they have to go in that direction. I think he had like 6 catches against them last time, bunch of targets.
All right.
Oh, and you mentioned targets too, by the way. I don't know if a lot of people are aware of that. That's now also a prop that you can play.
That's crazy. That's
they added a lot of stuff, yeah.
And pass attempts as well. So they're expanding their selections, which is always great to have more options. But at the same time, you can get a little bit burned too if you start to really deviate from a lot of the plays that you're typically using.
Well, I like the single props more so than the fantasy score props. I just think they're easier to understand. I mean, I know each their own. But you're right. Some of these can be a little bit obscure, but you've found some success with some of these sort of niche props, like in the NHL. The shot prop, I think, has done pretty well for you.
Oh, that's beautiful. Florida Panthers shots. I mean, that's like it's just you got to pick the right guy. Really.
Well, the Panthers yesterday had 50 shots, 90 shots they attempted. Okay, 90 shots they attempted, 50 actually on goal. So yeah, playing Panthers over on shots is a good way to go. I wish they had a Bam Adebayo shots counter because I would go under every single game, particularly in fourth quarters and overtimes where he's not going to shoot at all. Hero obviously would have gone over last night. All right, we'll be back for some Heat coverage this week, Monday and Tuesday. They've got road games to finish this 4 out of 5. But again, these are your AFC and NFC props. You can play them with anything else. Use the code 5. Follow David. We'll be back tomorrow.